And the last thing I will say is one of the things we have in common is we were both very good friends with Charlie Kirk. Over to you, Byron.
Well, first of all, good morning, Turning Point. How you guys doing here at FGCU? It's good to be with you. I'll start. Let's do a couple things. Let's just talk about the world. Let's talk about how politics moves the needle. A little bit about why culture matters, but really, I really just want to take your questions and figure out what you guys want to talk about, what you're interested in, and let's really get into it. I'm 47 years old. I'm an FSU grad. I moved to this state when I was 17. I've lived here 30 years. This is by far the best state in America, but it's not an accident. It's not an accident. The way Florida has been able to progress from when I first got here to where it is right now has been with consistent, common sense, conservative leadership in our state. Governor DeSantis, our current governor, has done a great job in that regard. I mean, when you have to do a lot of the stuff that we see in social media and in politics writ large, where you're battling ideologies, you're battling policies that do not make sense. They might sound good in a talking point, but when you play them out and you walk them out over time, they actually do not answer the call, they do not answer the bell for what is really causing issues in society. That's when common sense has to reign. And when you're battling the media and you're trying to fight for common sense, it's hard. A lot of times you got to stand alone. There's this thing called mob mentality. Mob mentality is real. When people hear a certain thing over and over and they see somebody else clapping for it, people have this inertia to try to clap for it themselves. But what the conservative has to do is to look at history, look at common sense, look at economics, and sometimes if you got to stand alone, you got to stand alone. That's the way it works. I got into politics 16 years ago. And the reason why I got in 16 years ago was because our financial economy was falling apart. Back in 2008, how old were some of you guys? How old were some of you guys in 2008? Good question. 6, 2, 3. Okay, that's cool. So it's all right. That's all right. In 2008, the world's fiscal economy was blowing up. At its core, it started here in the United States. The core reason why it started was because we had major delinquencies in the residential housing market, single-family homes. And we had a bunch of these delinquencies because some stupid politician in the 90s, actually several of them, thought it was a good idea to have no credit quality when it came to actually being able to buy homes. And the idea was, well, if you just changed all the credit underwriting and made it easy for people to have it, then that would solve all of society's ills. What ended up happening was people were in homes that they couldn't afford, and then the other thing that was happening is people started buying 2 and 3 and 4 homes. And at the time, everybody thought that they were a developer. I had guys who owned restaurants who thought that they were developers. Doctors thought they were developers. And so what happened was you had too much real estate that was being held by people who didn't have the cash to pay for it. So they were upside down in their homes, they couldn't make the payments. When they couldn't make the payments, you had too many people who were having to just give the homes back to the bank. When that occurred, it created a systemic crash in the financial markets. At this time, I was working in commercial banking when this started. And then I switched to insurance. And when I was in insurance, we had a client, they were Taiwanese, and for them to stay in our insurance investment, they wanted to make sure that the American economy was sound. So I was the guy with the banking background in the company. I went in and did the research, and I told them, I said, look, you're gonna be fine in your investment because, not to get too technical, but universal life insurance policies are really warehoused. And there's a firewall between them and the general economy. So they have their own economics that works. But back to the core story. I turned on a congressional committee. It was House Financial Services. I turned it on and I wanted to watch it because I was trying to finish my research for my company. I wanted to know what the leaders of the day were saying. I wanted to know what their ideas were about the economy and how to fix it. And what I realized very fast is that they had no idea what they were talking about. They were doing these things that I think is kind of consistent in politics all the time. A lot of talking points, a lot of bluster, no real solutions, and that pissed me off. and I decided to get involved in politics. A year later, the Tea Party movement was happening all across the country, and they were advertising them here in Southwest Florida, and I went to one. And I went to one because I was like, well, what's this Tea Party thing about? The media says that it's racist against Barack Obama. I want to find out for myself. So I went and I found out for myself. And what I found were people who cared about the Constitution, they cared about balanced budgets, they cared about making sure that there was sound fiscal policy in the United States, they did not want bank bailouts, and I agreed with them. And that started this journey 16 years ago that brings me to you today. The real moral of it is, if you want to move a society, if you want to win the day in politics, you got to engage. You have to engage, you have to be involved. You have to pay attention, you got to do your research, and then also you got to challenge your own worldviews. No idea how many times where I have an idea of what I think is right, and then I spend my time watching the counter argument because I want to fully understand my position, really understand it, understand what my opponents are saying. My wife will tell you, up until recently, because I really don't have much time to watch TV because it's pretty busy these days, but for a long time, I would watch MSNBC and CNN. I wouldn't even watch Fox. Why would I watch Fox? I agree with them. I agree with you. I want to challenge my views. So for you guys in this room, it's now your turn at stepping into the arena, if that's what you choose to do with your life. But I will tell you as a citizen, whether you choose to run for office, whether you choose to be a political activist, or whether you choose just to have kids, be married, and live the American dream, politics cares about you, whether you care about it or not. There's a saying in the political circle, especially amongst elected members, especially when it comes time to passing budgets. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. I'll tell you a quick story. My first year in the Florida House, this is 2017. First year elected in the Florida House. The speaker comes over the microphone in the chamber and he tells everybody, and I'm paraphrasing, he goes, all right, everybody, so here's what we're going to be doing over the next couple of days. We're going to finish legislative business today, and then we're going to break for a couple of days, and then we'll reconvene on Tuesday. So my roommate, who is also my colleague here in Southwest Florida, Bob Rommel, I look at him, he looks at me, and we say to each other, man, something don't smell right. Why would you make an announcement telling us we're ending business today, and then we'll reconvene on Tuesday? We all got the calendar. We all can read that for ourselves. So we said to each other, something's going on. Now we're freshmen, but we're like, something's going on, we should stay. Lo and behold, that weekend, they were divvying up the budget. And so we decided to stay in Tallahassee, not go home, and do the hard work representing your community. We were going door to door on a Saturday afternoon in the Capitol trying to find the budget chairman, the appropriations chairman, that's what they called him at the time. We're trying to find the appropriations chairman because the appropriations chairman, that's the guy that's actually going to sign off on what gets in the budget and what doesn't. Okay? So we were like, okay, let's figure this thing out. We go door to door, we finally track him down. He goes, what do you need? I go, here's what we need in the budget for Southwest Florida. He looks at it, he says, I'll give you these two, but I'm not giving you the third. And it got into the budget. You'll be like, well, Byron, what does that even matter? It matters because if you're going to engage in politics, the first thing is you got to show up to win. If you're not willing to show up, it doesn't even matter. You got to be present, you got to show up, you got to engage. You got to talk to the people around you. You got to share these ideas. You got to challenge your worldview. That's the very essence of politics in the modern era. That's the essence. On Capitol Hill, yeah, it's a mess. A lot of the issues that are frustrating Americans today, especially young Americans, the reason why they don't change is because of the United States Senate. In the House of Representatives, we pass all kind of bills. We pass them all the time. We send it to the Senate, and in the Senate, it dies. And it dies for one very important reason. It dies because the Senate can't clear their filibuster. The filibuster, as we know it today, was actually brought into being around 1915, 1917. And at the time, the Senate decided that there was going to be 67 votes to clear the filibuster. That's what they decided they wanted to do, right? So here's what happened. In 1975, they changed the filibuster. And the reason why they changed it from a 67 vote threshold to a 60 vote threshold, which is what it is today, is because they couldn't clear filibusters. This is the crazy logic in the United States Senate. If you're going to tackle housing, immigration, energy policy, budget policy, tax policy, today in Washington, you have to get 60 votes in the United States Senate to do it. The current layout of politics is tough. Name me a Democrat that's actually going to reform the budgetary process in Washington. Name me. I'll wait. Name me one that's actually going to codify Donald Trump's border security policies. Name him. I'll wait. Name me one that's actually going to do the hard work of reforming the visa system, ending visas that make no sense, making sure they're focused on the American people, going back to a status where there's a quota system in immigration, which is what the immigration standards in America used to be before 1965, which we need. Find me a Democrat senator that's going to do that. I don't know, maybe John Fetterman today? He seems to be the only one over there operating with common sense. Like, these are the issues that face us today as a society and as a nation. But the reason why I wanted to talk to you about it kind of in that path, and we're going to take your questions, is because Plato did say it best. Those who do not engage in their politics will be ruled by their inferiors. The reason why I decided to get involved in this crazy world of politics, and it's crazy, I got stories for days on this thing, is because I watched members of Congress when I was 29. And the thing that became very clear to me, they had no idea what they were talking about. They didn't work in the world. They hadn't been a part of the world. Their staffs wrote their scripts, and they would read them dutifully off a page. No thought and no logic about what's happening today in America and why Washington has to be reformed. And so I will tell you, this is a never-ending battle. You have to be engaged as a citizen if you're going to save the greatest republic man has ever known. You have to be engaged. That's how this works. And so that's why coming and talking to you guys here at FGCU is really cool. It's really an honor. Southwest Florida, very conservative area. We elect a lot of Republicans here, like virtually everybody, except for maybe the Fort Myers City Council has some elected Democrats, but by and large, Republicans are elected here. This place, Southwest Florida, is very unique compared to the rest of the country. Very unique. It's the best place to live. It's the best congressional district in America. I tell my colleagues that. And you know, they don't like to admit it, but on the side, man, I wish I represented your district. And I say, you know, move down, you may get a shot, who knows? Things happen. But listen, it is my honor to be here. The one message I want to make sure you understand. Number one, you're going to engage in politics, be knowledgeable, know what you're talking about. Number two, the real essence of politics is being able to convince and persuade, not the person directly in front of you, the people who are watching, the people who are listening. The third thing is, most people are apolitical. They know what they want to see. They do want common sense policy. But for the most part, they're living their lives. They're busy, man. They got a girlfriend, they got a boyfriend, they got a wife, they got a husband, they have kids, they have a job or a career or a business. They have personal hobbies, they have things they want to do on the weekend and at night. It's not that they don't care about America, it's not that they don't care about a civil society or functional government. It's just that they have other interests that are far more important to them. So when you engage people, you have to understand where they are, not where you are. That's how you get them to kind of think about the politics before they go vote. And the last thing I will say is, politics is a game of addition. It's a game of addition. When I was a Tea Party activist, I was solely focused on the issues I wanted to champion. So I wasn't really interested in adding people. But now being an elected official, my job is to add people. It's to add people into a coalition where do we all agree 100%? Probably not. But we got to agree enough on the core things that matter to move the nation forward. All right? So I'm gonna stop there. It's really a pleasure to be with you guys.